Hello, and welcome back to MyRail. In this episode, we're going to be creating a little bit of a nightmare for one lucky soul. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, or this is the first time you're seeing this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Yes, do it now. You haven't done it yet, have you? Hit the subscribe button. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that the whole episode. Welcome to MyRail. In this episode, we're going to be creating a little bit of a nightmare, but let's get started. Yes, let's get started. I killed my voice. So, it's Halloween, and we're back here at the haunted house, where, of course, it doesn't seem like that long ago since we set up the graveyard over there, and I thought, we'll continue on the tradition and keep working on this area. And in this nice space right in front of the house, I thought we'd set up a little maze down here. You know, one of those little hedge mazes that they have outside old houses when you get lost. And I thought we could make something really cool with OpenComputers that works with it. First thing we're going to do though, probably need to make it a little more flat. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, I think that's a bit more usable. I think we should put the maze about here. Yeah, that'll do. And what we'll do is we'll do a cylinder of leaves. In Minecraft 1.12, if we do that there, you get the leaves, alright? So this is our normal Minecraft leaves, but of course, if we change these, you'll see they start decaying. And that's because you need to flag them as being persistent. Now, in 1.12 and earlier, the way to fix that is we have to give them one of the meta IDs. So you've got your 0 is oak, 1 is birch, I think it is, and so on. And then once you run through those, you then start going through persistent. So we use the meta ID 4, and now that should give us persistent leaves, which won't disappear. In fact, we can see it in the debug screen. Decayable, there they are. So we'll just go back to that, and let's make it 15 and free up. Whoops. Stuck. Right, so how big is that area? So that's not it's quite a large maze, but I think that should do quite nicely for a hedge maze. Now what we'll do is I just want to make a marker where it is, because one of the things that might have to happen, we'll just grab something here, maybe a piece of birch or something. One of the things that might happen is we might have to come back and redo the actual edges. So if we have a little marker there, we know where it is. Now with OpenComputers, you may open a loot chest and find you get one of these discs here. Now one of these is actually, there it is, the maze. Now what this will do is it will dig a maze in an existing area. I've never played with this, so I'm just curious what it does. So I believe we need a robot. Do we have access to robots from here? Not on the 1.12 version. Okay, well let's go electronics assembler. We'll make one of these guys up. Place that there. Throw a creative case in there, because we're just going to use this as a temporary measure to do up the maze. CPU, a screen, keyboard, some RAM, a Lua BIOS, a hard drive, and a disk drive. So we can insert a disk into it. Oh, said something there which I wasn't quite paying attention to. No boot or medium found, that's fine. That means we need to put in our OpenOS, put that in this slot, boot her up. We'll quickly do an install of the OpenOS. can now take this guy out, stick it down there, and I'm going to stick the maze one in here as well. And I'm assuming we have to install it. Install maze, yes. Cool, done. Right, so now we can get rid of these guys. We don't need those anymore. Question is, is this guy Hex? Yes, he is. Cool. I'll delete that then. In fact, we'll delete that guy and keep that one. Right. Get rid of this. Now, if I understand correctly, what this maze would normally do is it'll set up a maze in a square. But of course, we want to be different here. And you place the robot at the bottom. So I'm going to put the guy here, which hopefully is about right for the edge. And we give it the instructions from there. Now, of course, this is a creative robot. You can do this with a normal robot, but you would need to give it some form of fuel. But I believe if we go maze, does it give us detail? It does. Alright, so it's width by length by height, cell diameter, and refuel. So we don't need the refuel piece, but we've gone 15 blocks. I think it would be double that, so 30 by 30 by 3, because it's 3 high, and then 1 and false. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this guy make up a little bit of a maze and see what happens, and I will be back shortly. Looks like the maze is finished, and from inside it actually looks quite complicated to get around. Let me see if I can actually complete it myself. This way maybe? Hey, I made it out, cool! Only problem I can see though is that there are multiple entrances and multiple exits. So what we're going to do is I think we need to go down here and just go into here, stand under our block, and this is the reason why we put it there, and I'm going to add in a hollow cylinder for, once again, leaves for 15, 3. And if we've done that correctly, that should put a border on the whole thing. Does look like it. And we need to select an entrance and exit. So first thing we need to probably do is just see if there's a good path to do. Yep, I think I can see one, probably right here. So we'll make this the entrance of our maze. And then follow that around over to here. Comes out approximately here, I think. So we could probably make this the exit right there. So the theory is, of course, that you've got one entrance and you've got one exit. Now, one of the things that I don't like about it is it doesn't have that many gaps. You know, with most mazes, you're going a lot of directions, but it doesn't really branch off. Like, there's a couple of branches. Like, there's a branch there. Some of these things aren't even connected. Like, this one here is not even connected to anything, so it looks good, but not helpful. So let's just make some holes in the maze so that they connect up. And I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so now we've got a whole bunch of different areas. Everything seemed, I don't think there's a single spot now that is not connected in some way. So what I want to do is I'm going to add at the end here just a piece of wall or something. Maybe make this the exit, and I'm going to add a piece of gold in. Block of gold. And we're going to make this guy at the exit. So this is where we want to go out to. And then I think we'll make over here the entrance. So I don't think I'll use something else for that. Let's go wall. And this all makes sense very, very shortly. So that's our entrance. So we enter here and we want to try and exit over there. And happen when you get to the exit is you should be transported back to the beginning. You know those ones where they walk from one side of the room to the other? I want that to happen. Now the only way I can think of doing that is with Railcraft. So what I'm going to do is set that up now, and I'll come back and show you what I've done. Okay, so what I've done is you can see we've got the gold blocks in here, and we've got a door. This iron door cannot be opened. You can see though over here we've got a little bit of track running, and hopefully at some point the minecart will come past and pick me up and takes me all the way back. And of course this is back at the beginning of the maze, where I've got glass in here to stop whoever it is getting out. But what's happening here is you can see also we can't get back into there, but we have a disembarking track set here, and it's set to fling whoever it is or whatever it is onto this block here. They can then choose to jump up onto either one of these sides and run through the maze. If we go over back to here, you can see I've got the gold block there and the gold block there with a door in the middle. And we can head down here and see what's actually happening. So we've got some booster tracks in just to keep the minecart going at a reasonable speed, because otherwise it just stops. And over here we've got an embarking track here. So if something is standing on here, or there I think it is, or even somewhere like that, it'll pick it up. I'm just going to move it out of the way because it's going to pick me up in a second. It'll pick it up and stick it in the minecart. Now you need to power these guys with a redstone signal, so that's what's going here. If we don't do that, it won't pick anything up. So we're going to leave that powered. And we've also got a few control tracks lying around just to make sure it's going in the right direction. So now that we've got a return track and whatever's running the maze will return back to the beginning, let's put something in here to run it. I'm thinking villager, because a villager has one aspect which we can abuse, or use in this case, to make it run the maze. So they'll just stand there and do nothing. But of course, we can spawn in zombies, and that will make them do something. So let's say we put in a zombie here. It does require taking out some of the area, ruining our perfect circle. But if we place a zombie there, the villagers should see it and start running, which it did. So we can use that to help encourage the villager to move along, because otherwise you're going to stand there and it could take years to finish off. So let's put a few more zombies in, just in strategic locations to try and encourage the villager to move. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I found a small problem here. This guy doesn't actually have visual range of this zombie. So what I think we should do is, while it looks really cool to have 3 high walls, if we were to take out the middle line, that would mean that we then have everything is visible. It'll make it a little easier to complete, but it will make it so that any zombie that's placed down is visible within the maze. So let's go cylinder here, 15, like that. And now you can see that everything's visible. So these guys can see each other. Which possibly might actually be why he's just standing there, because he can't get it out. I love those fax sounds. Right, so he's gone past, and now of course he'll be able to see that zombie anywhere, and that's going to make it run a lot faster. Now of course I'll go back to placing down the zombies, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so now we've got a whole bunch of zombies that have been placed in. Every one of these lamps that you can see down here is now a zombie. I did have a small problem with the villager. You can see he's now a different villager. Because of course, what happens when a villager runs past a zombie? It gets attacked. So I've had to make all the blocks at least one between each. But now, of course, you can see that the villager is more likely to move and run away. except for when he stands there for some reason. I'm not sure why he's decided that's a good place to stand when there's a zombie right there. Also named all the zombies. Now, of course, the question is, how long will it take him to complete the maze? I'm going to guess probably quite some time. So, what I'd like to do now is, while it's pretty scary for the villager to be in there, I think what we should do is try and herd it towards the exit. So rather than having all the zombies here and waiting for the villager just to find the way out, we can probably set up something to herd it around. And of course, a villager will run from a zombie if it's within 8 blocks. Except for here for some reason. Not entirely sure why. I wonder if he thinks he can get out. Let's fix that. So, what I'm going to do is I have a creative computer. What I will possibly do is run the cabling over to the rack over there, and we can probably put the computer in there, but initially we just need to set this guy up. Now the other thing that I've added to the pack is called OCSensors, and what this does is it adds a block which will scan an area, or a little radar type thing. So you can see it's a little radar that moves around, scanning the area. And what I think we should do is in the middle here. I don't think we should be here because that's probably going to look quite weird. But if we go down underground here, we can probably stick the scanner. We'll watch to make sure the villager doesn't come this way. Under here. And we can probably connect this guy up to the computer so that it can scan. Now, I don't know whether we can run that directly. Yeah, it has to be under. So let's put that under there. Is that connected? Really hard to tell. It does look like it is. So we can run, we've got enough here to run 2 all the way along. In fact, let me just go from there. Let's just jump into spectator so we can get out of here. We'll head over here, make the creative, go back down, and we want to end probably around about there. So let's set all that to here. Hopefully we don't take anything out we don't want to. And then of course we can run our cabling from here all the way along. So we'll go from there, run that to here. Look after me there. Yep, that'll work. To there, we'll set it to a OpenComputers cable. Nice quick way of laying cable. I would like to go shift 1 that way and set, and then expand 1 up and set everything to here. Yep, I think that should be good. Head into there, make sure it looks good. It does. Cool. So that's now connected up. We can run. We'll continue running that cable though. Now the reason why I've stuck that in the middle is because it works on a circle. So because we've got a circle, best place to have it is in the middle. And what we'll do is we'll run that to the computer over here. But what this should do now is give us an extra component. So if we look at the components now, we should see that we have the sensor there. Cool, lure. Now if we go in here, we go component.sensor. You can see we've got various different functions. We've got a scan function, which lets us scan a direct block. So from where the sensor is, we can go X out, Y up or down, and Z out, up or down. And that'll tell us the block that's in that location. We can do a search, which returns all the blocks in the area. So we can give it a name of the block we're looking for, the metadata, or the section, and the range you want to work on. And then we have the search entities, which allows you to search in a certain area for what entities exist. So, for example, we go component.sensor.search entities, and we say from -15, probably 1 or 3 above us, and then a -15. After that, it's 15. We'll stay at the same Y level, and 15. You can see that we return Scary, which is our zombie, another zombie with health, everything there, the position, the X, the Y, and the Z. And of course that's relative to where the sensor is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take another cut, and I'm going to write up some code that will scan and complete the maze, and show us on the screen what it's going to do. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be back in a second. Right, I think we might have some code that works. You can see that I've got pistons now underneath all the zombies, and what that will do is when we detect where the villager should be going, we're going to pop up a zombie to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't be going this way, and gives it a bit of a nudge or a scare to send it off in a different direction. And you can see, of course, that the zombie pops up, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a zombie over there, so we want the villager to go in a different direction. And of course, because a villager can see a zombie within 8 blocks, having this whole thing open makes it a lot easier for it to see that and scare it in the direction we want. If we head over to here, you can see the code working its magic. You can see that it's picking the best path from where the villager is, which is the yellow dot here, to where the exit is there. Now this is using a method called A*, and what you're seeing on the screen is a slowed down version of what it's actually doing. Each one of these green dots is a zombie, with the bright green one being the one that is currently standing up. So this is the one here. Now I'm not going to go too much into the A* method here, but you can see that it picks the path, it looks at that, and it will scan out to find the best path. But I might create another video which explains a bit more about how the code works. One of the things I should also note is this animation is directly that, it's an animation. It's actually doing this full thing very quickly in the background and constantly doing it. And I just got it doing this because I think it looks quite cool. So there's something else I would like to add into this code, just to make it a little more interesting for the villager who's just completed the maze again. And currently there is only one way to get through this maze. But what I think we should do is actually have multiple ways of completing the maze and make it change on a regular basis. So what I'm going to do is add some sticky pistons into some places where it might be a good idea to have a change to the maze there, and add some code into the program, and we'll see how it handles that. So I'll be back in a second. Right, so that's the final change done. You can see where the birch plank or birch slabs are. Underneath there is a birch plank because you can't lift leaves with a sticky piston. But underneath there's a plank which goes up and down, and that'll make the maze different every time it selects a new position. So if we go have a look at what's changed on the screen, you can see that we've got the little blue colours now, or cyan colours, with the blue colour being a piston that is retracted, and the cyan colour being one that is not. So this is probably one of the more complicated ways of getting there. As you can see, it's having problems even trying to find it. Just about touched every part of the maze, but it looks like we're just about to hit it. There we go, so there's the maze hit that way. Let's see how long the yellow dot, or the villager, can go from its current position to the exit. Now we've got villagers to scare it in directions